Hey guys, so this is going to be a slightly different video than my previous ones, and this is really just going to be about creating a budget. Now, it sounds simple enough, but it can be a little bit complicated if you don't really know how to manage your money, right? Now, just a disclaimer, the way I do my budget is a little bit different than, your traditional standard budgeting. I just do it this way because it works for me, and I'm simply passing on the knowledge. I am in no way, shape, or form a financial wizard, for lack of better terms, so don't take my word for it. But, this is just to provide an ease of mind for us, single guys and gals living on our own, going to college, working full-time, whatever the case may be, and just show you that it's really not that hard to do that. And, so let's get started. The biggest thing we're going to talk about is, identifying the three things that are most important with your money, which is your needs, your wants, and your auxiliaries. Now, needs are the essentials that you need every day. So, like if you have an apartment, so utilities, right? That's a need. That is 100% a need. Food, of course, is a need. If you have a vehicle, gas, right? And real quick, just to go back to utilities, that will include, water, electricity, and if you have natural gas, then natural gas, okay? Now, an essential need nowadays is Wi-Fi, but a few years ago, that really wasn't essential. So those are the top four things that are the essentials. We're going to call these, the essential list. Now you have another category of needs, okay, which are needs that are important. So you have your other bills, such as credit cards, like if you have pets, for instance, or any other sort of animal living with you, pets. And that'll include some food or their monthly medication, like Trifexas or Simparica, whatever you give your pets. And really that's about it for now. If I can think of any as well on the way back, I'll go ahead and reiterate them. But in the comments section, go ahead and put down some things that may be part of your essentials needs budget part. For me, this is pretty much it. I live pretty simple. Oh, actually, car insurance. This is a big one. Can't be driving without car insurance. It's illegal. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and move to the wants. So the wants are subscriptions. Now, this includes Netflix, Hulu, Apple Music, all that stuff. I get it. It might be essential to some, but it's really not that important. Okay, you can stream music for free. You got to deal with the ads, whatever the case may be. But, just keep that in mind. If you're on a tight budget, prioritize the needs. Prioritize the needs, especially the essentials. So, as far as wants, you have the subscriptions, and you have maybe like dining out, right? Like that's a big one that a lot of us tend to focus on a lot. We go to In-N-Out, or we go to this nice restaurant or the bar, get some alcohol for the house. Again, it's not really required. We're going to go ahead and add water down here as well to the needs, and it's an essential need. But bar and alcohol and dining out, you don't really need it, especially if you're already focusing on your food, on the needs, right? It's not really required. And if anything, you're spending more money. Any other wants that you may have is like maybe some I don't know, you go to the shopping center or you go to the mall or whatever and you buy clothes that you don't really need at the time, you know? You got to plan for that. You have to, you can't spend erratically, if that makes sense, okay? And if anything, I think we're going to go ahead and move clothes to auxiliaries. We're going to go ahead and move on to that next. Now, auxiliaries, these are required. These are essential needs, but you don't really need them right away. Does that make sense? So, auxiliaries, that involves involves maintenance, maintenance on your vehicle, maintenance on your motorcycle, whatever means you have to go around, or maybe some maintenance in your apartment or in your home if you have to pay out of pocket. You know, auxiliaries are needs, but they're more of things that you need to prepare for, to budget for. And really, like, the biggest one for me for auxiliary is savings. Right? So savings, it's not necessarily about saving money and building your savings, because if you really think about it, if you have a traditional savings account, you're not going to get that much in return for your money. Like, the only way you're really going to make money is through investments or through a high yield savings account, but that's a different conversation. Your savings are really for emergencies, right? Emergencies. So let's say your car breaks down, right? Your car breaks down and water pump goes out. Boom. Traditionally, if you don't know how to do this yourself, a water pump's going to run you roughly anywhere from $300 to $700. That's insane, right? That's insane. Now, if you can do this on your own, all you really got to do is buy the part and find the time and hopefully have all the tools. That'll cost you roughly $100 to $200. Depends on the kind of vehicle you have. You know, obviously, the more expensive side is the BMWs, the Mercedes, the foreign cars, right? But your savings are really for emergencies. You know, another one, what if your dog or pet gets sick, right? So for instance, personal experience, one of my dogs, I don't know what he got into, but I had to take him to the ER and he had to stay overnight. And the vet bills were just adding up. All in all, I ended up spending roughly $3,500. He's alive, he's well, and it was absolutely worth it, right? But had I not had this money up front, it would have crushed me. And on a side note, as far as pets, pet insurance. Okay, I pay roughly $65 a month for him alone. I have a few other dogs, and I pay roughly the same. But with these $65, I was able to get $2,900 back for his treatment. Now, from $3,000 to $600 out of pocket, I'll take that any day, right? I'll take that any day. But the biggest thing is savings. Savings will save you from any sort of trouble, any little pickle that you may have gotten yourself into. Now, let's say that, for instance, you have to buy some unexpected books for school. I mean, that's where your savings come into play. You know, that is the biggest and most important thing as far as budgeting goes. You got to identify your needs, you got to identify your wants, and your auxiliaries. Again, the needs are the essentials, the ones that you need every day or every so often, that, you know, it enables you to function properly, it enables you to live your day-to-day without any issues, without any concerns. Your wants are things that you don't really need but are nice to have, you know, like subscriptions such as Netflix, Hulu, and Apple Music. Going out to eat with your friends, and you know, hitting the bar or spending money on alcohol. You don't really need it, but you want it, you know. And lastly, you have the auxiliaries, which are they're also needs, but those are the ones that you have to plan for. So again, like I stated, clothing, buying clothes for yourself, like for the summer or for the winter, maybe, your jacket's old or tore up because your dog got into it. That happened to me. You have to buy a new one. You have to budget for that. You can't just necessarily go ahead and say like, oh, I'm going to go spend money on a $150 jacket. Like now that's $150 you don't have for your needs or maybe even your wants. All right. Vehicle maintenance as well. Like you got to have money. You got to know your vehicle. Like every 6 to 8 months, you should probably be changing your oil, roughly 5,000 to 10,000 miles, depending on the kind of car you have and what kind of oil you use. And lastly, savings. Like a vast part of your budget should be going to your savings. So let's say that, we're just speculating here. You make $1,000 a month. So $1,000 is your spending power, right? But from here, you have to pay all of your needs and wants. And that, let's just say, is going to take up $500. I wish it took up $500, right? But let's just say it takes $500 out of your budget every month. So now you're left with $500 as your new spending power. With auxiliaries, let's say you plan accordingly, okay, and you need to buy some clothes. You're gonna go to the mall and treat yourself. You're gonna spend roughly, let's say, $150. That's on the cheap side, right? Now you're down to $350, okay, and your car needs oil change, and if you don't do it yourself, you're gonna have to pay that price. So that's gonna bring you down to roughly $250. Now, let's say that you wanted to go to the bar and maybe have dinner before you went to the bar. Again, roughly speaking, $100. That's a cheap night for me, if you ask me. But you spent $100. Now you're down to $150. $150 is now what you have left at the end of the month before you get your next paycheck. This $150 should immediately go to your savings. All right. You do this for 6 months straight, right? Now you have, let's do some math here, $900. $900 in 6 months that you would have saved up. $900 in 6 months is essential for any sort of emergency that you may have. Not any sort of emergency, obviously, but any critical emergency that is, impactful, that is immediate. This will benefit you greatly. And it all starts by doing something as simple as this: identifying your needs, your wants, and your auxiliaries. You don't even really need to put money signs in there yet. As long as you identify what is priority, what is not, and what are things to prepare for, you will be fine. Obviously, the $1,000 a month is a slightly unrealistic check for some of us, but this is just an example of how to break it down easily and efficiently and quickly in 10-15 minutes so that you can maximize your savings, maximize your spending power, and only spend on what is needed and what is required, and save as much as possible. I hope this was helpful. I know it was for me, and it is for me. I do my budget every 3 months just because things change, and you just never know. You have to plan accordingly for some trips or for new clothing or new tires for your car. I just had to spend $500 for my tires. Just keep that in mind. It's very important to understand what your money's worth and how hard you work for it, because I know we all work hard for our money, and it would be a shame to just toss it out every week, on subscriptions, eating out at a restaurants or at the bar, spending more than we need to. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you on the next one.